Hytale's world is filled with many different races. Many of them are alien and strange, from the adorable Quebecs to the bug-like Scaraks. The races of Hytale are intriguing and mysterious. However, in a world where sloth people live underneath lava lakes with dinosaurs, I believe that the most mysterious and interesting race of them all is the one most familiar to us. Humans. Humans are going to be in Hytale, this is just a fact. The default playable race is human, the Outlanders were human at some point. We have seen human ruins littering every zone in the game. We know they exist, but where are they? There is something darker going on here, and I believe that at the root of the issue is Hytale's PG-rated Cthulhu, Varan. So I, Fierce Toast, will be your guide as we take a dive into the world of Orbis once again and discuss the shadowy mystery of Hytale's missing humans. Let's first take a look at the in-game structures. Hytale has a vast array of ruins. I am going to make an assumption that most ruin structures in Hytale belong to the humans. These structures are mostly filled with skeletons, either as an item or reanimated as an enemy. These skeletons distinctly resemble humans. This dungeon, for example, we see distinctly human skulls littering the floor. The room is filled with cobwebs as it hasn't been lived in for a while. Goblins have infested the structure. You could say that perhaps the structure belongs to the goblins or was built by them, but goblins are scavengers. They don't have the building prowess to build something as complicated as this by themselves. Almost all other ruin structures are infested with the undead variant of skeletons. Now, it may be easy just to blame it all on Varan, it makes sense. He is the main villain after all, and the only humans left alive are those who support him, the Outlanders. So, you know, end of discussion. Varan killed the humans and left the Outlanders alive because they followed him, right? Well, no. Well, I do definitely believe that he played a role in all this, and a significant one at that. Think about this. At the time that the players spawned into the world, Varan has taken control of Zone 4, and most of the people in Zone 3 are also controlled by Varan. Zones 1 and 2 are completely untouched, and yet both are still filled with ruins, undead humans, and other signs of a mass extinction. I don't believe that Varan just came into all the zones, wiped out the humans, called it a day, and called his troops back to Zones 3 and 4, where they've waited for, I don't know, a few decades. Hell, Varan's troops are so far and few between in Zone 2 that we've only seen one screenshot even suggesting they made it that far over Orbis. There has to be more to this. Personally, I'm quite stumped on this issue. However, I think that by looking deeper into the Outlanders, the only remaining members of the human race, we can hope to gain more answers. So what differentiates the Outlanders from all the other human factions that existed in the world prior to the mass extinction? Well, for one, we know that the other factions worshipped Gaia. In this concept art, alongside both Quebec and Ferran designs, we see a human design for a Gaia statue made out of stone. The Outlanders, on the other hand, didn't. They were likely banished from society for practicing void magic and helping spread the evil influence of Gaia's greatest enemy, Varan. These worshippers of Varan, turn of events, became the only remains of human civilization as we know it, so judging off of this, we can assume that Varan has undoubtedly had something to do with it, but what? I can say for near certain that the humans in Zone 3 were driven out by the Outlanders, considering that there's a massive number of abandoned settlements there. The settlements in Zones 3 and 4 are different to those in Zones 1 and 2. Is it just me, or do the buildings in Zone 3 and Zone 4 look a lot younger than those in Zone 1 and 2? Like, take a look at this picture of the scorched ruins found on the border between Zones 3 and 4. What other signs of old age does it carry? You could say the faded colour, but that's simply built out of a type of stone which is unique to Zone 4. It's slightly overgrown, but that's it. There's like 2 or 3 plants. The blog post explicitly states that the lights are still on, even though no one is around. I realise that the other structures also have torches still burning, but it's a little strange that the team decided to point it out here of all places. Now, look at these structures from other places. This one is from Zone 2, and it's a lot more run down. The roof, which was obviously there at some point, is gone. The stairs are crumbling, and plants, while still far and few between, have grown a lot taller than any in the scorched ruins ever could. And in Zone 1, this famous structure has actual grass blocks growing on it. Apart from this one in the central tower, most of the structure has weathered away. Moss covers the building, vines wrap around its peak, and it's obviously far more run down than the other two combined. I think this is showing a trend, that the structures in Zone 1 and Zone 2 have been abandoned for far longer than the ones in Zone 3 and 4. Here's what I think happened. The humans started in Zone 1. They built grand structures, but then decided they wanted to branch out, adventure, and discover more new and different lands, similar to how real-world humans do. They first came to Zone 2. They came in contact with the early Scarabs, perhaps fought with them, but what they did there really doesn't matter. But the thing that does matter is that they conquered the zone and managed to thrive within the harsh desert landscape. The humans moved on to Zone 3 and the same story followed. Then they did the same in Zone 4. They'd conquered Orbis. No matter what it had thrown at them, they'd battled their way through and won. But as they travelled further and further from the zones they'd begun in, those zones became less inhabited, and so the zone's older buildings began to fall into disrepair. Then came Varen. Using the corrupting influence of void magic, he got a select few members of the human race corrupted, and they became the first Outlanders. They spread his influence all across human society. Eventually, the conflicts between the Outlanders and the rest of the humans escalated, and eventually it boiled over into an all-out war between the humans and the Outlanders, which the Outlanders won, likely with some help from Varen and his forces. The humans were likely his biggest threat when it came to conquering Orbis. They were the only ones to spread across all 4 zones after all. With them out of the way, he could begin his conquest. The human society was crippled and civilization began to fall apart, even in Zones 1 and 2. The humans remaining on the main continent of Orbis fled to escape Varen. Perhaps that some of them travelled over the vast ocean, and we'll find the remains of humans, the last of our kind, on the far lands of Hytale. Or perhaps some went into other planets, but we don't know. One thing is for certain, that most of us didn't survive. And that leads us to where we are today. Considering that Varen is only in control of Zone 3 and 4, and the fact that the buildings of the former residents of Zone 3 and 4 are mostly still intact, I would say that he's not very far into his takeover of Orbis, a few years at most. The other buildings found in Zones 1 and 2 are probably decades, maybe even centuries old. Any human player is one of the last humans to survive Varen's attack and the war with the Outlanders. With that said, guys, thank you very much for watching. For the part that every YouTuber does, like, subscribe, follow my Twitter, join my Discord server, buy the merch, swear your allegiance to me, binge watch all my videos, buy my bathwater, and have a nice day. Thanks for watching.